It is my pleasure to welcome you to the studios. We are on church and politics, and today we are having one of our special statesmen who has come in to clarify a number of things to the Ambazonian people. La Republic will not take us for granted because we are not going to sit down and allow them play the game they played in those days. No, we are educated and we are enlightened enough not to let them play hanky-panky with us again. While you get ready, invite your friends, invite other Ambazonians to come in and hear for themselves. So when the La Republic is doing lies, you know that they are telling lies. This musical pause before we start off. Yeah, we are starting quite ahead of our time. I know what we are doing today. All right, let's go and listen to some music.
To tell the world, I have a story to tell the world. I was long forgotten in sin. Tradition took me, the world swallowed me. I have a story to tell the world. I have a story to tell the world. This is my story, please listen carefully. One day I met a lady. She told me that Jesus died for me. He shed his blood and he loves me. He's calling me, his light is shining. Will shine in my darkness. Will shine in my darkness. I answered the lady, I said, since I was born, I heard that same story. Have you seen him? Have you touched him? Have you met him? And where is he? After many words of argument all day, I saw my sin, I was ashamed. I surrender to the Savior. I surrender to the Redeemer. What about I see your light shining in my darkness. Jesus is King, Jesus is Lord. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And everybody sings, there is a story that must be told. And this story is being told in Ambazonia. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time we welcome into our studio our senior citizen. And today on our Amba history, we shall be talking on the German Cameroon. What is it all about? Well, we'll bring in our special guest for today, and I would like him to come in, greet our people, and then we'll go from there. Welcome in the studios of ABC Amba TV, sir.
Pastor Komando, thank you for receiving me. You want us to talk about German Cameroon? Yes, it is important to talk about that because it is absolutely important for us ambassadors to know, for the Cameroonese, the Cameroonians in that country to know what it is all about. Why is it important at this stage? It is important at this stage because I'm told, and it is true, that the Cameroon government has designated 100 historians to rewrite the history of Cameroon. Not to write the history of Cameroon, but to rewrite the history of Cameroon. In other words, to write the history they like from what they don't like. But going forward, it is important for all of us to know, Ambazonians, Cameroonians, anybody in the world, to know that history is not what you want. History is what it was. Factual, like it or not, it is the history. So you don't do the history the way you want. The history imposes on you what it was. Because history is about the past, not about what you want in the future. What you are doing today will become history tomorrow. And those who come tomorrow are not going to redo it to suit their taste of tomorrow. Otherwise, there will be no history. Every generation will rewrite the story of the past in the way they like. Now, that's deceitful. Now, that's dishonest. Now, that's fraudulent. Thank you. Over to you, Komando.
Yes, sir. The purpose for which we brought you here is to tell our history. When we became Southern Cameroons, that was after La République du Cameroon had become La République du Cameroon. That was after the 1919 war that had passed. That was after Germany had been conquered and removed from Africa. Where is German Cameroon coming from now in the lips of La République du Cameroon? What game are they trying to play to confuse our people at the home front? Over to you, sir.
I will deal with that. But let us try to revisit a bit of history. to know, in order to lay the foundation for what we are calling German Cameroon. The territory called Cameroon. In fact, their basis for German Cameroon, they emphasized the letter K that was used to spell the name Cameroon by the Germans. But let us revisit it a bit. The territory called Cameroon today and yesterday is not the creation of some villages in Dop, in Garawa, in the Betwa. No. All these components of what constitute Cameroon yesterday and today is as a result of the will of a stranger, some white man who carved out these villages and these tribes into one and call it the name they wanted. And so how did it even start? You remember that Cameroon, originally, the name Cameroon came from Rios de Cameros, which is a Portuguese word. That name was given by a Portuguese, Fernando Po. What did it really mean? It meant the river of prawns, this crayfish that we eat. This guy settled in, he was a Portuguese explorer, not a man conquering land. No, he was just an explorer. He had settled in Fernando Po. What we call Fernando Po is the name of that guy. And during one of his exploits, he came to the estuary of the river Vuri, what they call today the Vuri. I call it Rios dos Camaros. That is the river of prawns, river of crayfish. He did not spell that crayfish with K, it was C. And so he stayed there, he didn't conquer the territory. He was just an explorer, an adventurer. You know that they were going by ship. That's why he landed in Fernando Po. Remember, Fernando Po is an island. And so it started that way. The river Vuri, they tried to name the territory that they were saw from there. Rios dos Camaros, river of the prawns. Again, they didn't conquer territory. Came 1884. If we remember, 1884 was the year called the Scramble for Africa. Who were those scrambling for Africa? They were not Africans scrambling for Africa, no. They were European adventurers looking for colonies to have, looking for fresh markets for their industry, for their new industries. And so there was a scramble and partition of Africa, officially partitioned in 1884. That's when the Germans took what they call Cameroon. Not as their colony, they took it as part of their German Empire. At the time, remember, there was something they called the British Empire, the French Empire, the Belgian Empire. They wanted an empire to be under them. And they called that area that they captured, that they took under the 1884 agreement, Cameroon, spelled with Kameroun. That was the German name they gave to it. But what was that German Cameroon comprised of? German Cameroon was not what we have today called Cameroon. It was never. Now, German Cameroon was very, very large and comprised parts of, included parts of northern parts of Gabon and the present Congo Brazzaville. They were all parts of that empire. It included the western parts of the Central African Republic. They were all called Cameroon. It included the southwest parts of Chad, which fell under that Cameroon. And they extended to the northern part of Nigeria, which was under the British Empire. They all became what they call Cameroon, Kameroun, as a German, part of the German protectorate empire. And so that is what it was. But this thing lasted from 1884 to 1916, when the First World War broke out. When the First World War broke out, remember they were fighting against the Germans. Germany was defeated and they lost all their territories, including what they call Cameroon. And so that territory they call Cameroon, which was not the definition of some Africans, some Banso people, some Banwa people, some people in Betua or in Douala or in Yaoundé. No, they lost all that territory to the joint forces that had defeated them. They took these territories from them and created a management authority for it, which they call the League of Nations. And the League of Nations was to administer this territory. They didn't know for what. It was just to administer it, including Cameroon. Parts of it were then cut off and sent to Nigeria, others to Gabon. The parts that belonged to Gabon today were part of it. And then, of course, the Central African Republic, and a bigger chunk remained, which they divided now into two and call it League of Nation States of Cameroon. That Cameroon under the League of Nations was never spelled with K, it was C. And it didn't last long, from 1916 through 1919 to 1945, when the Second World War broke off again and ended with the final defeat of Germany and the creation of the United Nations Organization, UNO, in 1945. When the UNO was created in 1945, the issue was, what would they do without a charter, the UN Charter? What shall become of these territories, these war booties that were taken from Germany? They said, let us create them into trust territories. A trust territory is a territory or anything trusted is given to you to administer for the purposes of something given to you by the trustee. And so the administrators were decided. The country called Cameroon then was divided into two. One part was given to France to administer. The other part was given to Great Britain to administer. To administer for what? To administer for eventual independence or self-government, as specified in Article 76 of the United Nations Charter. None of those puzzles was given to France or to the UK. Was spelled with K. They all were spelled with C, Cameroon. So where did the German Cameroon that started in 1884 had died, had been killed and buried. The
By the
1946
by the war of 1916.
yes, once they defeated Germany,
Okay, right,
Germany
right.
had no more authority. And I've shown you that after, when even the mandate was created, it was the territory that was mandated after the First World War was not even called Cameroon with K to reflect anything of Germany. Absolutely nothing. Came first in 1946 when they were signing the trust agreement. You see, the trust was not only concerned with Cameroon. There were 8 trust territories as a result of the Second World War and of the creation of the UN. There were 8 trust territories. Among them, what we call today Amba, British, that one which was under Great Britain, the UK, which we call today Amba. That one that was under France, which we call today Republic of Cameroon. There was Namibia, there was Togo, and so on. So these trust territories were created for the express purpose of leading them, each leading to independence. They were not to go back to Germany. So the idea of K, a Cameroon starting with K, meaning that belongs to Germany, was dead and buried. They did not revive German ownership of the territories in any form or shape. Each was to chart its own ways. And that is what those people who administer the territories, UK, for example, France, they signed what they call the 1946 13 December Trust Agreement. It's the same agreement, but every country that was given land to administer signed the same agreement on the 13th of December. Among them, UK, among them, France, among them, South Africa, that was handed Namibia. And they said the same thing, the terms were the same. Administer this thing with the purpose of independence as per Article 76 of our new code, our new United Nations charter. So that is what it was. Again, I started this thing by saying that I hear that there's something in Cameroon trying to rewrite the history of Cameroon. Why are you trying to rewrite the history of Cameroon? I saw in one of their arguments, they say, well, what they call Anglos always wanted to come back to German Cameroon with K. And so it was their desire always to come back to the fold, which you call former German Cameroon. The question that they did not answer, which nobody has answered and which they don't have an answer is, who made La République du Cameroon the successor state to the German Cameroon? If their theory of K were ever to hold, that well, because there was a party in southern Cameroon called KNDP, K Cameroon, the spare Cameroon, the National Democratic Party, KNDP, K meant German Cameroon, or KNC, K stood for German Cameroon. It stood for Cameroon, but they didn't stand for German Cameroon. Otherwise, if that is what they meant, they had political parties in East Cameroon, what I call today East Cameroon. The UPC, they didn't have K there. That was the first political party formed in 1945. Why did they not put K there?
Yeah.
They put C. Ahijuk, that was our political party there until 1959. When Ahijuk created his own party, he called the UC, Union Camerounaise. he didn't call it the UK, he called it the UC. And that party became CNU, did not become KNU, became CNU. So it is all Anglophones who loved the German Cameroon because they called their parties K. And every party became, from UC, it became CNU, it became what do you call it? CPDM or CPDM. Why not KDPM? So the notion of German Cameroon, we going to the fold of the German Cameroon, it has never had any legal foundation. That is why, in the so-called plebiscite of 1961, they didn't ask whether British Southern Cameroon was going to achieve independence by rejoining Cameroon, East Cameroon. They said, no, would you like to achieve independence by joining, not by rejoining? Just like they asked our brother in the north, would you like to achieve independence by joining Nigeria or by joining Cameroon? That northern Cameroon that went to Nigeria was part of the UK, of the German Cameroon. So when they went to Nigeria, were they rejoining? Or they were simply joining? They were simply joining. So this notion of German Cameroon was killed in 1916 with the defeat of the Germans. They took away all their property, mostly their overseas property, including Cameroon, including Namibia, including Togo. Togo was divided also into two, into British administered Togoland and the French administered Togoland. These were all French color. These were all German possessions in Africa. So why should there be a difference in Ambazonia or in Cameroon? Why should they think that the Ambazonians fell so much in love with German Cameroon more than they? Because we name our parties starting with K, and theirs never started with K, who fell in love with Cameroon of Germany. And let us take it for them. I mean, they didn't like German Cameroon anyway. Otherwise, why do you not name their own parties that way? If they didn't like it, why must we go back to it? And so I think that's in summary what it is about the so-called German Cameroon starting with K.
Ambazonians. Remember, I told you when we come in here, we have one purpose in mind, and it is to tell you the truth. It is to teach you. It is to correct you. And above all, it is to warn you. La Republic has come to a point where they have discovered that every game that they had a place, every trick that they had in place, every manipulation that they had in place to convince the world that the people of southern Cameroons, Ambazonia, are one nation with them, has failed. And because it has failed, that's why they are concording and trying to get their twisters, whom I will use a Bible definition to define them. They are John chapter 8, verse 44. They are of their father, the devil, because he is a liar from the beginning. And so they will lie and lie and lie even to themselves. They've discovered that they cannot get Ambazonia in every trickish way that they have tried to, and then now they are recruiting people of crooked minds to try to write down a history that is not existing and tell more lies. Because any nation in the world that does not take La République du Cameroon as a lying nation, they have a golden how do you call it, golden cup of lying. They put all lying people in the world, they will win the gold. People win bronze and win gold and win silver. The La République will win gold and win bronze and win silver before the other people. The fourth person will win a prata. For first, second, third in lies is La République du Cameroon. We are out to tell you, Ambazonians, that what they are planning and what they are singing in their media is a lie. We have never been with them, one. And above all, you have heard from our senior historian, the German Cameroon. If they are taking us back to German Cameroon, they should be able to bring in part of Togo, part of Gabon, part of East Africa, part of Chad, part of Central Africa, and part of northern Nigeria, which was northern Cameroons at that time. They should be able to gather all that one, and then the Roque regime should be talking now of the German Cameroon, which we have heard here that there is nothing like German Cameroon actually, you know. So anyway, Barrister, now that you are here, we'll go ahead and still try to find out from you the game plan of La République du Cameroon. You just talked about writing the history of Cameroon, that some people are gathering to write the history of Cameroon. What do you envisage them trying to write, especially touching the people of Ambazonia, of British Southern Cameroons, in that history?
They are not trying to write the history of Cameroon. I didn't say that. I said they are trying to rewrite.
Okay, rewrite, sorry, yeah.
They're trying to rewrite the history of Cameroon that will fit their own narrative.
Okay, all right,
So that
rewrite.
will fit their own narrative of events, changing things to
Right.
suit them. And before I get there, to remind them and to remind our listeners, between 1884 and 1916, the official language of communication in this German Cameroon was German. It was not French, it was not English, it was not Ewondo, it was not Bamileke, it was German. And when When Germany ceased to be anything in Cameroon, everything changed. Cameroon was divided. The official language of present La République de Cameroon was French, and is French. The official communication, official language of Southern Cameroon, today Ambazonia, is English, not French. If the French Cameroon very much loved German Cameroon, upon attaining their so-called independence, why did they not institute German as a language of communication? How many German schools have they set up over there? They have not set any German school over there. They have not changed their communication language from French to German. They have not set up any German institutions over there. They apply the laws that were passed in France. For example, they have something they call the military tribunal. What laws apply there? Essentially, the 1958 French military code. And so, the same thing applies to us. The German, the French that they were speaking and that they still speak today, is not a choice of the Fangs, the Betis, the Owundos, the whoever, any tribe there. It's not their choice. They didn't choose to speak French. They didn't choose to do all these things in French. It was imposed on them. German was imposed on them. Our unofficial language is English. This English that we speak, we didn't choose it from Batibo, from Manfred, from Campbell. We didn't choose it. It was imposed on us. So we are products of the colonial system. And not only us, the whole of Africa. African countries, Nigeria, there was nothing called Nigeria. The one man came and grouped these people together and called them Nigeria. There was nothing called Gabon. There was nothing called this and that. No, these are all products of colonial rule. And Africans have accepted this. That in spite of their imperfections, we will respect those lines, the lines between the countries as defined by our colonial masters. That is put in the African Union Charter. It is written there in black and white. And so, if we ask ourselves, what the Republic lacks, or they are not willing to accept, is that we who call ourselves Ambazonians and they who call themselves the Republic of Cameroon, they are different people. We're all black, but we are different people culturally and otherwise. They speak French and follow French institutions. We speak English and follow English institutions. Otherwise, why are they bothered with something they call the Bilingual Commission? Why are they bothered with that? If we're not different, the Germans did not impose a language called Wondo or whatever language in us. We spoke a different language, but the official communication language, with the institutions we had, we didn't have the courts that we have now. We didn't have the schools that we have now. The schools that we have are French schools. They originate from the French system. They that we have originate from the English system. There's no way. Otherwise, we are just two different people. Yeah, we're just two different people. How do they explain the fact of opening an Anglo-Saxon university in Boya? What are they not going to open in Garoua? So we are different people. They must accept this fact. And if we have to coexist, those differences must be recognized. So short and simple. So they are trying to write the history, back to your question, they are trying to rewrite the history to show that, well, these things did not exist, were the same people all over the years. No. That attempt, that theory has been tried legally and it failed. After the plebiscite of 1961, the Republic under Ahidjo took the matter to the International Court at The Hague. What was their complaint? Their complaint was that, well, the British had managed the territory that they were given so badly that the people voted to go to Nigeria, whatever, but not in Cameroon. That time, so many where they would have come back to us, Cameroon, as German Cameroon, they lost it. They lost their case. So what is the legal basis for claiming that the UN Trust Territory of Southern Cameroon is part of them? There's no legal basis. Not even to add to the fact that when they were going for the independence on 1st of January 1960, they never called us to join them.
Yep.
They never said, well, we'll wait for them. The UPC that preached the so-called doctrine of reunification before independence, they never even succeed. From the British record, nobody even wanted to hear that because the 1946 agreement, giving these territories to France, to Great Britain, and the rest, did not envisage a coming back of the territories. They did not contemplate a reunification, no. Each country was to chart its own way and do it. If this system had worked, the so-called unification thing that we purportedly join them, what they should be doing is crafting new laws that will be common to the English and the French. But they are not doing it. They didn't ever do it. They have never done it. They continue to apply the French law. And I sitting here, I wrote the London GCE. The GCE we have to call Cameroon GCE is fashioned out on the London exam. It's a single subject exam. They don't have the same thing over there. So there's no way you can raise that thing. So they are wasting their time. They are just being dishonest. They are looking for a ploy to do what they have said all the time, to assimilate us. But again, assimilation in this case is almost impossible because a python, as big as it is, cannot swallow a porcupine, a very small animal. That porcupine will die with the python, as large as it is, or you vomit it out.
Yeah.
So don't forget about the size of Ambazonia. Yeah, they are 4 times us. What of Equatorial Guinea, which I started by saying was called Fernando Po, was a small tiny island? What of Gambia? So in this international politics, size is not what is important. Definition is what is important. We're defined by a border physically. You have pillars still standing there that separated us from them. The pillars were not based on anything, but they were put there by the white man. Those pillars cut across villages, but they are respected. There are so many people from Calabar, the Ejahams, who are in Nigeria. They are also in Manfe. Nigeria has never claimed that the Ejaham living in a cock are Nigerians, no? It is not about the population, no. We have heard about Bakassi so often. 90% of the inhabitants of Bakassi are Nigerians. But that does not make Bakassi a Nigerian territory. Because when the colonial master came, he defined Bakassi as Cameroon. So they have to accept that fact, that there is that difference between us. That's the takeoff. We're either neighbors or they don't exist. That's a simple story. Again, what are they trying to write in this? I cannot predict what they will write, but from their arguments, what I heard them on their different social media, it looks so fraudulent. Like they argue this thing of the case. What would they argue again? I saw one of them arguing that, well, you remember that we have been complaining about abolishing the common law in Yawone 1. And he said, he gave a very interesting example. This is a professor. He said if it was abolished, the idea of abolishing it came from an Anglophone. They proposed to abolish it. Maybe an Anglophone proposed it, and then you abolish it to replace it with what? He simply killed you because he don't even want it. And unfortunately, he was giving that example. He didn't know that I would listen to that thing. Happened to be a product of that university there. The thing they called the Department of Law was set to fail. It was set to be meant to be destroyed. Why? For the years that were there in the late 70s to early 80s, the whole Department of Law had only 3 teachers. Professor Tamak, a Francophone, who was going to Sase. Professor Kissop, there was one man there. Dr. Aletum, who was out teaching philosophy, psychology. And a poor gentleman, Mr. Ndobidi. How could 3 people run a whole department in the university? Of course, next to it was the Department of French Law with thousands of teachers. So if they abolished it, if somebody abolished it, it is stupid to say it was proposed by an Anglophone. And I did ask this simple question rhetorically. Do you have a professor who was a professor in the University of Yaoundé of history? You were even perhaps a dean. Could you just simplify it and say, let us abolish this by yourself and will be followed up? No. So those arguments that they bring are so fragile, they are so useless that no reasonable human being can accept. But the good thing that they have, the luck they have is, all this thing they spill out on Equinox television and the canal, whatever thing they have over there, they are one-sided arguments. They have never brought the rare Ambazonians to challenge the historical facts. It's a one-sided narrative. That has no meaning. These people have grown up to become visiting professors elsewhere. And you gave all these examples of how in France they had agreed that, well, there will be a terminal degree called PhD. The Anglophones only had a PhD. And this is very much who forgot to know that in Tamak, an Anglophone, though he was a Francophone, in Kissop, an Anglophone, sitting there, that PhDs. But in order to circumvent Tamak's PhD and the Kissop, they invented something called agrégé, where they sent Dr. Professor Owona to go to France and do something and call agrégation, which according to them was higher than a PhD. He cannot answer this question. He was a professor, he should know this. Even in the very faculty of arts where he was purportedly teaching history, there was the dean of the faculty of arts. Who was this guy? This was Mbasimanga. Basama went to Stase. So who is fooling you about all this nonsense? And so we need people who can talk, not people who talk from both sides of their mouths. We have a lot of our own brothers and sisters there. I can remember following one debate, I hope they are following me now, where Mr. Ngole, they asked him, how did they do this? And I said, well, it was 1608. They just think that Hijo and Funcha just agreed to do our things our own way. By a professor of politics? That's a joke. That you just ignore the resolutions of the United Nations and do things your own way? No. They are binding. Every phrase there is binding. You don't have the right to choose what to implement and what not to implement. So our brothers of East Cameroon, call them the Republic, must learn to accept this bitter truth that the small Ambazonia, they are different people. They are equal in status, no matter the size. Cameroon, which is not even, in terms of population, is not even probably of a state in Nigeria, has never submerged itself to Nigeria. Nigeria has 300 million people. They respect the boundaries between Cameroon and Nigeria. They respect even Gabon. They respect even Equatorial Guinea, which is not even up to a city in Nigeria. So if they respect these principles, we can live well as neighbors.
Thank you very much, Barrister, for that elaborate discourse. Ambassadors, I want to repeat that we are here to educate, to advise, to warn, and to correct you, because the game plan that La Republic has is very deep, but we are uprooting it for the future Ambazonia. Let's get this musical pause, and we'll come back and continue with Barrister. Please.
And you know my name. I give you glory. Abba Father, you know me. You know my name.
very much, Reverend Sama, calling on Abai Father who knows the name of Ambazonia. Fellow Ambazonians and people of the blessed land, I want to let you know that in today's program, a barrister is here with us to put it very clear that the claims of La Republique to cajole some Ambazonians and to make them believe that German Cameroon is what united us together is a fallacy. It's not a truth. And I have been calling some people educated illiterates because I believe that in the days that truth was prevalent, even our forefathers who did not have the opportunity in 1940, 1960 to actually fly to America and all those places and attend university were far, 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 far morally better and upright than this present generation that is mixed up in lies. And I want to correct also something Barrister said. Barrister said they are trying to rewrite. They are not writing history. They are trying to rewrite. And whenever something is being rewritten, there is an addition and a subtraction. And in this case, they actually want to subtract the facts and figures and the realities of the Southern Cameroon's history and to fit in the rubbish that they want to put Ambazonians under servitude. I was reading somewhere, I saw that the population of Ambazonia, the landscape of Ambazonia is more than 7 nations that are recognized in the world. Yet, the Republic is saying that because we are just a small minority, they wanted us to join them as the big majority so that we can be dash. That is wrong and that is not acceptable. Now, Barrister, in rounding up, I would like you to emphasize to the Ambazonian people why we are fighting or resisting and defending ourselves from not being slaves continuously to La Republique de Cameroon. Because we have seen that for the past 62 years, they have targeted everybody that is from Ambazonia, and they have made them, even in their so-called kangaroo government, to be slaves and houseboys that have no voice to suggest or to propose anything. And now they are targeting those of us who are standing for Ambazonia to be on its feet and trying to use methods that are archaic since we are now in the IT age. Can you go ahead and tell the Ambazonians why we are resisting to this point? Over to you.
I would say it. The methods they're using are not just a cake. They are outdated, they are illegal. And let me illustrate this fact. We're very familiar, we're all Africans. We're familiar with our parents or ourselves. When you get married to anyone, that woman, and die, if you die, that woman is still an active woman. She'll probably go and marry another person, even in another village, and make children with that man. Can the children of this first marriage, the success of the job share, go to catch those children of the new marriage in a different view and say, well, since my father was the first husband of your mother, you must come back here, you're my children? It's not possible. It's not possible. The children will fight back. In the modern day, they do a DNA and say, no, we have nothing to do with your father. They will go away, they will fight you. And so, even if they claim to be the hereditary, the inheritance of the German territory, they have no power to catch us back into their fold. They cannot force us back into their fold. The decision is ours. Just like anybody else who are not part of them, we can come together and do things if we so agree. But they cannot force that coming together on us. It is not new. Countries around the world have come together for a particular purpose and then broken off peacefully. That's clear. We have Senegambia, but why are we even going there? This war that was being fought, the First and Second World War, eventually created the USSR, the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, which was a powerful bloc. They have broken off. Everybody has gone his or her own way to become an independent country in its own right. Russia did not come and catch you and say you must come back because we had the union here, we're contributing money for defense. No, they've not done that. And so you cannot force the people onto yourself. They will try to do it, but the people will resist, just like we are resisting. They will fight back, and the law will be on their side. Tradition will be on their side. Culture will be on their side. We all know that, even in the present day Cameroon. We have neighboring villages. You don't want to capture another man's village because you are stronger. We have bigger and smaller villages. You don't want to capture the fund or the chief of the village A just because you know you can't put them in your prison and subject them to that. That happened during war, and the people paid the war price and left. So Ambazonians are perfectly right to fight with all what they have at their disposal. To fight the physical fight, to fight the intellectual fight, to fight the legal fight, until the opponent, the aggressor, acknowledges, agrees that, look, these people are different from me. These people have a right to certain things. What they are trying to do right is to abolish what we're asserting as the rights and the protections of the minority and groups in a larger context of Cameroon. They cannot do that legally. They cannot even do it physically because, again, they are bigger, they are the python, but they cannot swallow the porcupine. That, again, will not work. So Ambazonians, do what you can do to fight. Draft and draft and draft. Take up the cutlasses if you have one. Take your spears up if you have. Go barefoot if you don't have chanshu to wear. The law will be on your side. The tradition is on your side. Culture is on your side. Invaders must be defeated. Very few people have ever succeeded in invading territories forever. You vomit it out. And so, we are not doing anything wrong. Ambassadors are doing nothing wrong. They are simply asserting what is theirs. They are simply asserting what is theirs. And so to think that we're German colony, come back to Germany, why are they not bringing the Germans to come and rule them? Because we're part of the German Empire. It's about Germany to oversee its territory. They are fighting as independent people, not inviting the Germans to come and help them. And they want us to come and be under them. That's bullshit. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Barrister. Thank you, Barrister. I think the technician is mixing up things there. All right. What I'm saying is that Barrister say we need to rise Ambazonians and fight. He mentioned three things, but I want to add the fourth thing. We also need to fight spiritually. So when you are fighting mentally, fighting legally, and fighting physically, you also need to fight spiritually, because La République du Cameroon has used every method available to the knowledge of man, and even try to go into metaphysics and gone into demonic world to fight and defeat Ambazonia. And that's why I was warning the Ambazonian restoration forces that want to go to Boya to stop mounting their post on the highways to also intimidate and give another burden to our people. And especially when the people cry out. When they cry out, you have no hiding place. When you oppress the population and you are standing to defend them, you are putting a knife at your own leg. And when they turn against you, it will not be easy. A few days ago, at a checkpoint mounted by, I don't know whether their supervisor or their commander knew about it, some boys went and mounted a checkpoint. They called themselves the ARF, and the military came over there, killed one of them, and took one of them to the camp. And the population was crying. This is specifically in Dop. So please, if your throat is long for money, know that you have entered the pot soup, and the devil will soon make dinner and supper with you. That means you will soon die without eating the money, because that's what happened to Judas Iscariot. He did not spend the money, he betrayed his master. And so if you go out to torment the very people that are protecting you, we have told you that this is a God-ordained battle against La Republique for us, and God's sword is a two-edged sword that does not respect anybody who does not go by the norms of the interim government. The interim government had declared from the word go that we were not going to oppress our people, we were not going to take anything from our people, but we're going to step in and support those who are defending homeland at home. It was not an obligation, but we had to do it because those of us in the diaspora, we are comfortable and we can live very well. But when we saw the struggle getting deeper into destroying the fabric of our ancestors and our hometown, we decided in so that we can be in partnership. But if we are being in partnership at this particular moment, you have copied the selfishness and the egoistic mindedness of La Republic of Cameroon, and Langatru don't catch you, and you go for catch people the way they don't get something, where would they try for support? Just don't say don't buy or die. So we tell you, say, make una stop that kind action they want to do against the population where they murmur. Many of them be willing for give una chop, where we never force them. But when you stop motor, you say you must give this, and you say you are fighting to, they go fight against you. Me, I did talk for government television because I know say we government, it never sanctioned any of our restoration fighters for oppress the people to the point that they go cry out. Make man not talk say federal government of Amazonia, we don't hear this story, you know talk am. I don't talk am today. We never send any of una for come for road for go harass our people. We want you for come out, protect our people, that's okay. But for harass them, say, if you don't get 10,000, if you don't get 1,000, go and find out. Some of the people, the way they don't die, how much they die keeping in their Momo account. I don't call their names, but I hear some of them, they die with 4 million, 6 million, where they discover for their account. Some of that 4 million, 6 million, they extort them from our people. And plus the one way the interim government, they try for help them for fight and then take back our homeland. Please, if you are a fighter at home and you want to stay for see we go for Boya, stop it from today. I know that people don't blow that their whistle of corruption, and that money I don't enter for now. But interim government get a special squad where they call and say the spiritual cabinet, and with the prayer say make that spirit of Sokugu, that spirit of that demonic spirit of Langa, make it come off for una. So we will continue for pray for una. I will continue for tell una wait to when I get for no. Well, barrister, I think that's the end of our program today, and I sure say we go get ready for come back for another program when something come up, so that we fish them for our people. If you have any other thing, over to you, and then we call it quit for today.
Yeah,
Thank you.
before I leave you, let me just carry on what you said. You see, mounting roadblocks, to me and to this IG, I don't think it's been a good, effective strategy for fighting the enemy. If 20 people are passing on the road, how many enemies are among them? They are your own people. They are the people military that we all know. They are very, very identifiable. A roadblock will not prevent them from passing. They come in heavy vehicles. And the truth is that when you mount that roadblock, if it's against them, when you see them coming with their armored cars, you run away by yourself. So you're not mounting a roadblock to fight a war. You're mounting a roadblock against your own brother or against your own sister, against your own father, against your own mother. But be reminded, we have said this many times before, your first line of defense is the population. They are the people. You sleep with them. They eat with them. These are the people who tell you that the enemy is coming to harm you. So if you hurt them, you hurt them. I hurt everybody. Even the poorest man in the village. If you take away his wife, the guy will fight back, even with a spear, even with a stone. His wife is dear to him. So are his children. So is her husband. So don't hurt your own people in the name of revolution. No, that is wrong. That is being greedy. We didn't enter into this fight for money. If money will come, it is not yet coming. It is not yet time for that. You get the genuine money. Your wife will pay when it is time for it. But don't extort from your brothers, from your sisters, from your fathers. Extortion is a crime. During war, after war, during civil society life, don't extort from people. Learn to live within your own means. This extortion means a lot. We have lost a lot of fighters who are not just extorting, but they are also greedy. The little pennies that we can collect and send in, don't make it yours alone. Share it equitably among your friends. All of you are doing the same job. Let us not send you 500,000, you keep 400 in your pocket and distribute 100 to 10 other people. That is being unjust. So let us be fair to ourselves. Our AROFs, the good ones and the rifle ones, know the rules. If you extort from the people, you are creating a danger for yourself, because you cannot survive among the people who become your enemies. They will be the one who would betray you, who will show your enemy where you are hiding. They will show you the footpath. This has been so common. Trace those of our own children who have been killed by the military. What we call blacklegs, and some people become blacklegs because they were cheated. Some people become blacklegs because they didn't have the money. So don't extort from your people. The suffering they are undergoing is really more than enough. And so, with that, let us fight back genuinely, fight the correct enemy, fight the real war, and God will help us. We know the frustrations of war. The Israelis didn't have it easy. On the way to their promised land, where they didn't even know where it was, most of them said, we had better died in Egypt than to go through this hardship. But they went. They had crossed the Red Sea and they wanted to go back, but the Red Sea had closed back. You could not go back. They continued going, not for 10 years, not for 20 years, but for 40 years until they reached the promised land. And today, Israel, tiny as it is one of the strongest countries in the world. So shall Amazonia be. Thank you.
Amen. 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 Thank you very much, Barrister. So shall Amazonia be. Ahead, ahead, ahead. No looking back. Wonderful. All right. Ambazonians, a word to a wife will be enough. So when I don't hear, and with the one who talks, say, God helping, tomorrow we will be back again on the air and we'll share more with you on our Amba history. Have a wonderful evening over there at home. God bless you.
You are the see every time I turn around. Now you are the feel. I dey hear your voice in my heart. Lord, I feel your love over me. Every time I look around. I dey feel. Jesus, you said I be a pikin, no. Jesus, you